from PlanetReport.net. There's been 3 bits of very interesting bits of news relating to space this week. So I'm just going to go through them. And the first one is that President Trump has announced that the USA is going to refocus on human exploration of space. It comes from, on the 11th of December, President Trump signed a Space Policy Directive 1, and he said, "The directive I'm signing today will refocus America's space program on human exploration and discovery. It marks an important step in returning American astronauts to the moon for the first time since 1972 for long-term exploration and use. This time we will not only plant our flag and leave our footprint, we will establish a foundation for an eventual mission to Mars." Now, following on from the last manned mission to the moon in 1972, other notable dates have been 1981, America launched its first space shuttle, and then in 1997 a rover landed on Mars, which enabled more extensive experiments to take place on the planet. Now, President Trump is of the generation who were young adults when man like Neil Armstrong got to the moon in 1969, and then in the years that followed, there were all the sort of comics and films and all these sort of things, all sort of foresaw that within so many years we'd have moon bases and would have cities on Mars and all this sort of thing. And of course that hasn't quite worked out at all, and in some ways we've gone further back, and it just seems as though we're nowhere near that sort of thing from happening. Whereas by now, 2017, 30 years ago, people would have thought we would have had moon cities and all sorts of things, which hasn't happened. But of course, there's you could debate as to what the benefits are of man going back. I mean, obviously it's exploration and they can find out new things, I'm sure, by going to them places. But the next bit of news shows the limitations of humans going into space compared to using telescopes and things like that to explore so much further than we can ever possibly go. Because there was an image a while ago of I think it was taken from the Cassini satellite that NASA launched near Saturn, and there was a picture, and it was a picture of planet Earth taken from the rings of Saturn, and like Earth was a tiny little circle in the distance. It was an amazing photo, but it just demonstrated, even if we got that far, we'd only still be within our soul, within a few planets away from where we are now. So if you compare that to the number of different universes and things, it's not much. So yeah, the next bit of news, which is interesting, was again from NASA, and they have found, they've discovered an 8th planet circling a distant star, and it's now tied for the most number of planets around a single star, with the recent discovery of an 8th planet circling Kepler 90, a sun-like star 2,545 light years from Earth. So that just proves my point about spending all the money on humans going to Moon and Mars. If you contrast that with spending the money to do this sort of thing, it's a totally different, on a totally different level of exploration, although we're not in the crafts exploring. So it was discovered using data from the NASA Kepler telescope, and the new planet they discovered is Kepler 90I, and it's described as a sizzling hot rocky planet that orbits its star every 14.4 days, and the average surface temperature is believed to exceed 800 degrees Fahrenheit, on par with Mercury. And its outermost planet of the star, Kepler 90H, orbits at a similar distance to its star as Earth does to the Sun. So possibly that maybe there's some life on that one. I'm not, who knows. And this discovery comes after researchers Christopher Chalou and Andrew Vanderberg trained a computer to learn how to identify exoplanets in the light readings recorded by Kepler. The minuscule change in brightness captured when a planet passed in front of or transited a star. Inspired by the way neurons connect with the human brain, this artificial neural network sifted through Kepler data and found weak transit signals from a previously missed eighth planet orbiting Kepler 90 in the constellation Draco. So it's just like one genius level here when we're talking about this sort of thing, because it's not a case of just looking through a telescope and seeing it with the eyes. It's all to do with like radio signals and also, very, very complicated stuff. And the third bit of news this week was now I'm going to have trouble pronouncing this because it's a bit of a difficult one. It's called Oumuamua, and apparently that's Hawaiian for messenger or scout. And it was first described as a it was described as a comet, then an asteroid, and then it was described as an interstellar object because it wasn't either of the first two. And it's 230 meters by 35 meters, or 800 feet by 100 feet long and thin, so it's like cigar shaped. And it was first spotted by Robert Work using the Pan-STARRS telescope on the 19th of October 2017 in Hawaii. And it's past Earth at 85 times the distance to the Moon, and it's moving too fast to go into a solar orbit. It's going at 196,000 miles per hour, so it will leave our solar system and continue travelling through space. And the movement it's going in is described as a tumbling movement, not a smooth one. And it was first described, first described as a comet, then an asteroid, and now an interstellar object, which is something that I think it's the first one that's ever came into the solar system. And then there were some claims it could be an alien craft with broken engines, out of control, hurtling towards Earth, in arrival for Christmas Day, perhaps. But the Breakthrough Listen project used the Green Bank telescope in West Virginia to check for radio transmissions from the object. But sadly, nothing was found, and excuse the pun, but it was a bit of a silent night. So that is 3 bits of news about space. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and click the bell for notifications. In the meantime, thanks for listening and goodbye.